Rai, Member of Parliament, Glenview South. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you.
Morning, everyone. Okay, my name is Jacob Matumbe. I'm the National Youth Secretary for Legal Affairs in the National Constitutional Assembly. Thank you very much.
Good morning, and how are you, everyone? My name is Blessing Nende. I'm the National Secretary, National Youth Assembly Secretary of Elections in the MDC.
Hello everyone, I'm Johnson Bono. I'm the Rare Provincial Chair for Youth from FEES.
Is there anyone who doesn't understand Shona? Okay, thank you. Mangwanani. Minister Rangundinon's Tatenda Anastasia Mavetera. And the Member of Parliament representing Sekechkomba constituency. And soon on the Kamirira Portfolio Committee, youth, but more importantly, the Youth Caucus. I am the chairperson of the Portfolio Youth Caucus. I think Ndopando Gumire Papa Maitabas.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Cecilia Chimbiri. I'm the National Chairperson for the Citizens Coalition for Change. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, esteemed panelists. Thank you for making your time to come here and have this discussion, debate with us. So before we go any further, I would like to ask for the Director for 4H, Mr. John Muchenje, to come up and give his welcome remarks so that he welcomes all of us here and we can officially start the proceedings. Thank you. We had one more panelist who was not present, so I'm going to give him a moment to introduce himself, and then Mr. Mchenji can come through.
From ZANU-PF.
All right, so that's Tarai Kandishaya from ZANU-PF. Right, Mr. Mchenji.
Thank you very much, our MC. Thank you very much, Comrade Kanchaya from ZANU-PF and other colleagues present. My speech is going to be very small. I've been tasked to give the welcome remarks and just brief about the session, the reason why we are here. But before I do that, let me thank everyone who has made time to come here to be with us and discuss the important sessions or topic around voter registration and participation in a peaceful electoral process in Zimbabwe. I've been listening to the presidents of the parties here present. I've heard them preaching peace every day when we were doing our by-elections in March. So we've gathered here as young people to make sure that we discuss issues to do with peaceful participation in the electoral process in Zimbabwe. I would like to welcome you all. Feel free. We are one nation. We are one Zimbabwe. Let not our different political affiliations or opinion affect or divide us. We are one Zimbabwe. What is important is that we are one nation. There's no separation. When we are outside, we get one passport, we have got one ID. There's no one who has got an ID with the affix of his political party. So I just want to welcome you and thank you very much. The party leaders here from ZANU-PF, CCC, FEES, NCA, and our Parliamentary Youth Caucus, our MPs. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mchenje. I must say again, it's beautiful to see my youth at room 1. And can I see my youth to my youth chow hey. I'm say, but yeah, this is refreshing. So to discuss about tolerance, about peace when it comes to elections. And we're going to start off by talking about the roles and position of various youth league or assembly on youth voter registration and peaceful electoral participation. So I'm going to ask each and one of you to give 2 cents about this particular topic. A blessing from MDCT. Good morning, sir.
Thank you, Sharon. Once again, I am Blessing Nende from MDCT. So, the role and position of our youth assembly in terms of voter registration and participation in the electoral processes is like, of course, I'm going to start with the most basic one, whereby voter mobilization makes the core part of our activities. As an opposition, we are not yet clear, we are not yet certain that the space is really open for us to implement what we wish to implement. And I hope to this start of this meeting will help us in achieving what to achieve, whereby youth are supposed to be freely moving. Youth are supposed to implement agendas whereby we push Zimbabwe to the top, whereby we push Zimbabwe back to where it belongs. We don't have much resources in terms of doing really impactful projects in the communities, but we are privileged to have had certain individuals. For example, in Gokwe, we had an aspiring candidate who would sponsor soccer tournaments whereby the uniform jerseys will be written register to vote. The youth assembly is the incubation to ensure sustainable existence of an organization. But as of today, we have declared that we are leaders of now, as we have a huge youth bulge in terms of age demographics in Zimbabwe, meaning to say the decisions that we are making now have to make sense in the next 10 years, have to make sense in the next 20 years. We have been engaging and lobbying, or rather I would say also pushing the registrar's office to issue IDs, birth certificates, because that's what's required. It's one of the requirements for ZEC in terms of one to register. We have also partnered strategic civic organizations, like-minded organizations. I would name for starters, we have 4H, which is Yatunganiza Panapanas. We have partnered other embassies. We have partnered labor. I'm talking about ZCTU, maybe some ZFTU, in terms of mobilizing the young workers, in terms of having those that think they are too smart to play politics. We have to get them from there. And as a part, we continue to reiterate that as young people, we need to be involved in the peaceful participation of the electoral processes. Because if we are to go for, I would say, violence, amongst the 100 of us, maybe when we get to 2023, there will be maybe 85. And it's us, the young people, who think is going to inherit this Zimbabwe will be lost. Therefore, it calls for us to strengthen the message of peace. It calls for us to strengthen the message of being Zimbabwean before I become MDC, to ensure that our nation long live. I think for now I will end there, Sharon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Right now we're going to ask, before we go any further, I actually want to welcome our guest of honor. I want to welcome the ZEC Commissioner, Mr. Jasper Mangwana, for joining us today. Thank you, sir. I think in the evening we are going to was Derek. It is what is niggas so my tabasa mashik. Now we want to hear my thoughts. The next part, you want to talk to Effies Johnson Bunu.
Thank you, Sharon. I have a presentation to read for you concerning the and I want to thank 4H Zimbabwe for bringing us all together as political parties. We are not enemies because we are all Zimbabweans. Revolutionary greetings to all of us gathered here, hoping that we are all fine and blessed. Allow me first to thank the organizer of this critical program and partners. This is a very commendable initiative ahead of the Watershed 2023 election. We salute the leadership of 4H organization and esteemed partners. Thank you so much. Comrades, my name is Johnson Bunu. We are Youth Forum of Front for Economic Emancipation in Zimbabwe, FEEZ, is a social and pro-poor movement under the able leadership of our President and Chief Commandant, Comrade Godfrey Tsenengam. We are glad to be part of this initiative. FEEZ is a peace-loving party, as we believe that peace is a critical ingredient required for any country to develop and prosper. As such, our party's leadership is fully committed to the ensuring that we maintain a peaceful environment before, during, and after elections. We believe in coexistence and tolerance despite our political difference to ensure that we promote peace in Zimbabwe. Our party has a Secretary for Defense and Peace building from national to cluster level and in every wing and forum of the party. We believe that peace is a fragile and must never be tampered with for political expedience, and has to maintain and promote it by all. Zimbabwe is a multi-party democratic and party ought to coexist peacefully. As such, our party and our forum remains ready to work with all parties and other progressive organizations like 4H in promoting peace elections. Our leadership has agreed that it is open and ready to make solid commitments towards the realization of peace election, including signing pledges and pacts. In regard to the role of FEEZ Youth Forum on youth registration and participation in peaceful electoral process, we have undertaken the following initiatives. 1, the party will be starting to train and induct our secretaries for defense and peace building on peace promotion and peace building, which program will be held in the month of June 2022. And the youth secretaries are the first to be trained. 2, the FEEZ party has a long activated all secretaries for election at all levels undertake program of voter mobilization to register and vote in the 2023 election. Our message is promoting peace and tolerance. Our ground force is the movement. We are working in all wards across Zimbabwe. 3. Our National Elections Directorate of the party has also made it clear that any member who will be accused and found guilty of promoting and participating in a violent political activity will not only be barred from participating in the election as a candidate, but will also be barred from holding a leadership position in the party. 4. To ensure that youth participation fully in the coming election, the party has agreed to spare at least a third of positions in council and parliament for occupation by the youth, because we don't just want the youth to vote, but also to be voted into leadership. This has helped to motivate youth to register, to vote, commit to peaceful election, as they also stand to benefit from peaceful electoral processes. 5. Our party leadership has also pledged to organize a host inter-party youth sport tournaments where our party will invite all parties to participate as a way of promoting peace and tolerance. As a party, we remain open to suggestions and progressive ideas on how we can help the cause of peaceful participation of the youth in election. I thank you.
Thank you so much. Ndabata kuti anzipara kuti koma inter-party sports tournaments. Those should be interesting. So I want to move on to the next presenter. I want to hear from Mr. Jacob Matumbe from NCA.
Thank you very much, Sharon. As I said earlier, my name is Jacob Matumbe. I am the National Youth Secretary for Legal Affairs in the NCA. As the name of the party clearly states, is the National Constitutional Assembly. Our belief in the Constitution can never be overemphasized. The Constitution confers rights upon citizens, and the citizens, in return, in the social contract, have given up some powers to the state for them to be protected against all forms of violence that can be perpetrated against them. In the very same spirit of that, I believe the initiative by 4H is a very noble one in contributing to the creation of a very peaceful environment as we get into the election. Ourselves as NCA have been doing our part in making sure that our youths are involved in all processes, and they are conscious that in their exercise of their rights, they should be cognizant of the need to maintain a very peaceful and sane environment. As the previous speakers have also alluded to, we are all Zimbabweans, one people. Politics is just meant for the progress of the nation, a productive nation and progressive one. It's not meant to divide people, but rather to unite for people to foster a progressive way forward in a democratic and peaceful manner with tolerance prevailing. As NCA, we have engaged our youths so that they can take up leadership positions internally within our structures, as in our districts, our wards, and even in our national structure of leadership. We have engaged our youths, and we have them because they are not leaders of tomorrow, but rather leaders of today. We have also held symposiums with our youths in our various constituencies to try and encourage our youths to take advantage of the voter registration blitz that's going on, and also tried to encourage and facilitate where we can and engage the registrar's office to avail documents that are necessary for this process to go on well. The issue of sports is a theme that's cutting across the board, because it's something that's unifying, something that's refreshing, and in that socialization, that is where we build the foundation for a peaceful political and electoral process. Internally, we've also put some structures in terms of our disciplinary committee that speak specifically to measures that are meant to deter our members from engaging in violence, so as to make sure that the environment is very peaceful and we can all coexist and operate as one Zimbabwe. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Matumbe. Next, I want to hear from CCC, want to hear from Cecilia Chimbiri.
Which should be made a priority by an existing government in order not for the generation to be wiped away. So this background will tell you that we have a crisis in Zimbabwe, a governance crisis. This is why in the Youth Assembly of the Citizens Coalition for Change, we advocate that we are the alternative. We have a Zimbabwe that we want, a Zimbabwe where young people are employed, have business opportunities. We have entrepreneurial environment and a business investment in the country. We are also for peace. We are against violence at all costs. We believe in dialogue, like we have done today. Commend a space like this, because it's been a long time since I've been to a space like this. I think it was last in 2013, where as the young we could actually sit and talk about the cross-cutting issues that we have, because bread cost does not affect Cecilia or Stephen Chuma because they belong to Triple C. They affect every youth in this country, and we need to be ambassadors in our respective political parties of youth, mobilizing them to register to vote. I was advocating that we must have a register to vote, go out campaign that should be within all political parties, because this is not a partisan issue. This is an issue that is broader, that is Zimbabwe at heart. So I thought maybe we would see maybe all youths in all political parties in this country calling out for their youth to register to vote, because either way it should benefit us. In fact, if you don't go vote, it means maybe clearly you're leaving others to make critical decisions for you. As the young people who've been said we are leaders of tomorrow, you know, there is this stereotype of when you are a youth, errands, and this is something that we should change as a collective, and this is what we try to do in the Youth Assembly, to make sure that there's a molding and a building of a youth leader who is actually capable of waking up and be a president. It's a thing of the past that people should be ageist and think that probably the young are not mature. So basically, we mobilized for the registration of young people to vote. We launched a massive go out and register to vote campaign, and we saw that in the provinces, our youth were everywhere, conversating with the young, for them to understand where we are coming from and where we are going. And we continue to advocate for peaceful elections as we go. We know the background of, us, the young, being used by the old madalas to actually disrupt the process. An election is a serious process in which we then decide the country that we want. And thank you for Zimbabwe for calling us here today. We have suffered severe effects historically that might pose as a threat, but we are here to be trained as ambassadors of peace, and we continue to advocate that we be ambassadors of peace. And it's not too late to join the CCC change. For those of you who might want to be members, I thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Cecilia Chimbiri. Right now, I want to hear from our next presenter from ZANU-PF.
Thank you so much. Maybe I'm lost. You said the topic is?
It's roles and positions of various youth league or assembly on youth voter registration and peaceful electoral participation.
Maybe I got lost because the previous presenter swayed too far from the topic. Okay, thank you so much. In order to, in fact, the role of ZANU-PF youth is constitutional. I am happy that I think here we are the only political party that has a constitution. All others who are speaking are using what we call common sense, which is not common mainly. Our constitution states that the role of youth league is to mobilize youth for full participation in politics. Also to mobilize youth to defend the party and the country, and to promote national youth service, to protect the interests of the youth. This is constitutional, and it's a constitutional mandate upon us, the ZANU-PF Youth League members. So in terms of the role of mobilizing youth for full participation in politics, this is where we encourage them to register to vote. For we understand that where we came from as a country, formerly we were Rhodesia, there was no one man, one vote. So the first step towards peaceful elections is to appreciate the efforts that were put for us to have one man, one vote as a country. In 1980, we had something like 100 seats in Zimbabwe, parliamentary seats. And when we went to elections, ZANU-PF had 57, ZAPU had 20, Rhodesia Front had 20, and Mzorewa had 3 to make it 100. But the 20 seats that were given to Ian Smith's Rhodesia Front were not voted for. They are the seats that were allocated to him only because he was white, and only because they needed white people to be in parliament. So you can see it for yourself that the one man, one vote that we are having today is actually a product of ZANU-PF. For it is ZANU-PF that stood the fight against the oppressors who actually took 20 seats for free in 1980. And I think you understand these people who does what they call it symbolic of numbers, whatever. The number 20, they say it represents...
Sorry, we're going to open up the floor for a plenary. Okay, we will open the floor up for everyone to talk. Just give him 10 minutes. Let him finish and then we can open up. Thank you. Can we continue? Can we continue? Let's give him 10 minutes. Sir, we'll give you an opportunity to talk. Don't worry, we'll give you an opportunity to talk. Thank you. Thank you. That's all right. Thank you. You can continue, sir.
It's a very important aspect of this conversation. This is not about marking Kutiningi. I just say, let our comrade finish to speak, and let's not also insult others.
We also need to agree on that.
Why are you giving people? Just
Can you please give our honorable member from ZANU-PF his 10 minutes, and then we'll open for a plenary. Thank you.
Let's agree on one thing, comrade. When you were presenting, you gave an example using the name Stephen Chuma. He is one of you. Let's agree that
I know
there won't be interjections from now going forward.
Can
Let's
you
agree
please
on
just
that
go
one.
back to the question, sir? Let's go back
Do
to
we
the
agree
question.
that there won't be any interjections now? Okay.
Are you here to attack people, or are you here to listen?
I was hoping that we could at least go 30 minutes, 40 minutes into the program before any of this started. We're here to promote peace and tolerance. So if we could please act in a peaceful and tolerant manner. Thank you.
As ZANU-PF and SHIPC, pay attention. This is the big conversation for you. You can go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. The other thing that I'd forgotten to indicate is that we have a code of conduct in ZANU-PF that governs individuals' behavior. So the other thing that I will advise the UCCC guys is to go and come up with a constitution and a code of conduct that you read to your people so that they don't misbehave when we are having these gatherings. Because the moment you start to interject, it's more of a provocation that then a provocation demands a reaction. And I don't think you will like the reaction if you continue doing that.
So we can go back to the question.
The next thing.
We have not even gone 50 minutes into the peaceful dialogue. We might as well continue because I'm sure we have other parties present who want to continue with the conversation. So, sir?
Okay. Thank you so much. So, if we are to have peaceful elections in this country, as I said earlier on, we must appreciate the history of how we got to a point of having one man, one vote. And this, we got it after the liberation struggle was fought. It was violent, people were killed and stuff. So ZANU-PF brought the one man, one vote. So that simple appreciation by the youth to understand that the electoral process is a product of the liberation struggle as a starting point. Number two, ZANU-PF is mobilizing its people to participate in elections because we have something to defend. Unlike all other political parties that emerged recently, they have nothing to defend. So if you have nothing to defend, you become violent during elections. We have a country, and we understand that to be where we are today as Zimbabwe, It's because of vabereki vedu vakarwira nyika, and we have a country to defend. Now, if youth are not taught to be patriotic and to understand where the country came from, they won't be peaceful because they have nothing to defend. They have no reason in seeing a united Zimbabwe. Unlike some of ourselves, we don't like war, we don't like violence because we lost parents, we lost relatives during the liberation struggle. But these startups, like, the ones who are interjecting, they have nothing to defend, they have nothing to lose, they have nothing to gain, they have no election to lose, they have no election to win. They are in it for bread. I think you heard when my sister Cecilia was presenting, all her presentation was coming back to bread, issues of bread. So when they are going to elections, they go with bread in mind. When they go to political rallies, it's all bread in mind. They have nothing else to defend besides bread. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. So now I would want to pose a question, and then we'll have the panelists answer the question, and then I'll also open just for 10 minutes, briefly, a plenary, and then we can have individuals interjecting, giving us their thoughts or questions. Not now. First the panelists, and then we'll come back to you, the audience. Thank you. So the question now is, I want to ask the parties, what are you facing? Are there any troubles, any problems you're facing when it comes to voter registration? Things that are making it impossible for it to be peaceful or for us to go through the elections without any violence erupting? Maybe you can address the ZEC chairperson in this to tell them the challenges you're facing when it comes to voter registration. Yeah, it's okay.
Thank you so much. The problems that we are facing, or the issues that are leading to violent elections, that we have political parties that have nothing to lose. Establishments that are there not to win elections, but to advance a certain anti-people agenda, which is mainly resisted. For example, when, we had this, I cannot call him vice president because the structure of CCC was dissolved. There's nobody who is holding a post except Chamisa. But Tendai Bit, when he said that when they come to power, they would want to, return land to the whites. So if they go to Shamba and try to address, and there are farmers there, the black farmers, they will be resisted there. That is the genesis of political violence during elections. The message that you transmit to people, how it is taken, it provokes the reaction of the people. So we need responsible politicians who conveys peaceful message, a message that brings grace to the receivers. So that's the problem that we have.
Okay, thank you. I guess you gave us a problem and the solution.
Thank you. Register pakufamba tewatiri kuita musangano wedu weFees tichikurudzira vanhu mayouth and munhu wese kuregister kuvhota. Tinosangana, handingati tasangana ne violence so far, but hatingati hakuna violence iri kuitwa pakumotivata vanhu kuti vatese vavhote. Tine vanhu vari very bully pa social media who think they own this country, like they've given birth to Zimbabwe. Vanhu vavo they claim like vakatora Zimbabwe somewhere, vanenge vachiti, but tikada kudzokera kumashure pakarwiwa hondo pacho ipapo hakuna munhu akarwa achiti ari kurwira ZANU-PF. Even vabereki vedu ana sekuru vedu, they were part of the struggle. Zvekuti handiziye kuti simba vanorwa nepi rekutiudza kuti muda nyika ndeyedu kunge isu tisiri mazimbabweni. Saka hatisati tamboita violence yatasangana nayo pazvokurwisa physically, but kune vanhu vari very bully pa social media. They insult, they threaten us like I don't know. Those are the questions for now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so as MDC, some of the challenges that we have been encountering, we have seen vamwe vachirasika, so I think for a moment I'm allowed kumboraskao. As leadership, we are a mirror reflection of the people that we lead. As MDC, we are clear in terms of our strategic option that we think in Zimbabwe forward. So let's not participate in this debacle inoitika yevanhu vari kuda kupusha for peace and start fighting when they are supposed to send the message out there. Let's remain as MDC who are open to listen to every progressive voice. So back to the main question or the wilderness, I would say we feel the democratic space is still closed, whereby there are regulations, there are restrictions, especially from the Zimbabwe Republic Police, whereby strict monitoring of the events that would want to implement, and we feel some other players are not stifled like that. Back to the issue of ID issuance, we have seen that it's funny that in this capital, the capital seat, we have few offices whereby IDs and birth certificates are being issued as compared to the rurals. I don't know if it's a mind game or it's a game whereby the big political player feels it's stronghold. We have corruption in every system within the society, whereby we feel economic opportunities have been granted for the few young people, for the few elite, and we have seen it, people aligned to the ruling party throwing money to the youth, and we believe the agenda is to ensure that they disenfranchise the youth. They want to ensure there is apathy within the youth, whereby the youth will say, tovoterei, hakuna mukana, regatimboenda uku kune zviwanikwa. It's a political strategy that they use. Maybe it works for them, but what about Mother Zimbabwe? We don't feel it's working. We have mentality issue within even our political parties, even within the society, whereby people can't imagine young people leading. They cannot bring you to where important decisions are being made. We have crippling freedom of association, whereby we see, anyway, before I go further, I'm happy that we have MPs from ZANU-PF, from MDC here, whereby seeing repressive bills being pushed, whereby we see cyber restrictions bills being pushed, whereby the government of today is angling to ensure that they control what we say on social media. As vile as it is, I believe everyone has a right to say what he or she thinks. I believe we have the mandate as young people to gather like this to ensure we push forward for an all-inclusive dialogue whereby we talk about the reforms that we want as an opposition, electoral reforms to be specific and ensure that the ground is level and ensure that the results announced reflects what the Zimbabwe collectively have chosen. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sorry, peace and tolerance, peace and tolerance. We can't hear you. Maybe you need a mic. It's not Irapa, so I can give it a mic. Comrades, can we please? Sorry. Okay, we're going to have someone else take her place. Hello, comrades. My youth. It's okay, we have someone else who has taken the place here, so they will talk. We now have Comrade Wombera here to speak for CCC here by the panel. So can we please get back to the program?
That's the count of our party.
My youth Edu.
In France, I think they've seen with morality.
Our youth.
Okay, sir.
Our youth. My youth Edu. Hey.
Right, comrades, thank you very much. Let's all get seated and we move forward. I think in the interest of time and in the interest of achieving the objectives of this very meeting, I'm going to speak on the issues to do with the challenges that are being faced in terms of the mobilization. Comrade, I think we are past that. It's fine, comrade. My apologies for that, but we want to move forward. So the moment you continue and interject whilst I'm speaking, it makes no sense. Comrades, I think it's fine. Comrades, thank you very much. I think we have generic issues to do with voter mobilization. I still remain Womberaisha Nende, brother to Blessing Nende there. As you can see, my brother is under MDCT and myself, I'm under CCC. This is the level of tolerance that we speak, even at household level, to speak with the issues of national development in regards to whatever you believe in. But we have the right to belong to anyway. Section 67 of the very constitution that we so speak of speaks about the right to belong to any party. That is section 67(2)(a) of the Constitution. It's very clear about that. People make their choices about the political parties that they want to belong to. So this composition of young people must be here to cross-pollinate and share ideas on how best to move forward towards mobilization of young people, not this kind of behavior. Right, comrades, let me ask them to speak and conclude on the issues that we have been facing. I think we have members being arrested whilst participating in voter mobilization blitz. When there's a blitz, you're supposed to mobilize people to make them understand that we have these centers in this constituency, in this one, where you can go and register to vote. But we are now having challenges in terms of people going there and they are being arrested whilst they are participating in this initiative of voter mobilization. So that is a serious challenge. That is a serious challenge, and that is a serious crisis that we have been facing, because it now takes the legal route in order for us to get our people back onto the ground. Once one person has been arrested, the terms upon their bail clearly stipulate the fact that they cannot be involved in anything of that sort again, because they are malicious and draconian laws that are repressive in nature, that then stifle people from participating in electoral processes. Yet at this juncture, we have a young people's bulge, a youth bulge, where young people are supposed to be participating in politics. Of the very few that have taken it upon themselves that we want to participate in politics, they are being victimized left, right, and center when it comes to them operating on the ground. So what we have in the document that we call a constitution and what is being implemented on the ground goes parallel, and that needs to be addressed. I'm happy that I have my sister Mawetera here and Vincent. I think those issues must be dealt with at legislative level to ensure that the implementation of the Constitution in its full right, we, the people of Zimbabwe, the Zimbabwean Constitution, it speaks about free participation in electoral processes. So that very same Constitution must then guard everyone. It must then protect everyone. Then beyond that, we have the issue to do with issuance of national identity documents. I strongly feel that it is the prerogative of the government with all its arms and the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission also lobbying in that direction towards ensuring that once someone reaches 16 years, it must be in the database. So it speaks to the issue of having artificial intelligence, the issue of having a digitalization of all platforms that operate in capturing of the demographic masses that we do have, so that once someone, and we have a pool where we can then access these people. Once someone reaches 16 years, it becomes a norm that they get an ID. It means it's just someone who is stationed at every school, every high school. Is stationed there. Once someone reaches 16 years, the system picks them, they get their national identity document, so that we eliminate this crisis of having national identity documents as a prerogative for one to then become a registered voter. It's fine. Then the next issue that I'm going to speak about will not be to be responding to people that interject. We want progressive politics. This is the genesis of us working together. It's okay, comrades. It's okay. It's very much okay. No, it's fine. Then the next issue that I want to talk about is the issue to do with the proof of residence matter. I think we must understand, being cognizant of the current situation in Zimbabwe, that perhaps over 80% of the young people do not have houses. They do not own houses. So that ensures that people get affidavits that get filled in terms of them proving their proof of residence. But we are now having issues where people are being followed up to say, you registered with this address and you are not, it's illegal for you to be doing that. But we have the Constitution that gave right through the electoral laws to say that, the Electoral Act, that is, to say that people should have a affidavit that get filled in order for them to be said they are registered voters. So it's another crisis, another area that is giving us contention in terms of now, how do we then proceed in ensuring that someone becomes a registered voter against a background where that very same person does not own a house and is supposed to get a legal document that clearly states that this person can and is allowed to be from this address. Because if you find myself and Blessing, we are using the very same house for proof of residence. In that regard, it's not our houses. But as old as we are, we do not own anything. But if there's a crisis to say you get someone getting arrested, that you registered Wombiraishe, Blessing, Kudakwashe, Kumbiraishe on the very same house, as if it's something that is not the norm. But families are growing, but a family might have one house. So that house becomes the point where people use to register to vote. So I think, Commissioner, in that regard, perhaps you need to address that and you'll also lobby on our behalf to say that the process becomes easy. Then, in terms of the social spaces, the social media spaces, I saw here apply and come to you in peace as young people that we must learn to coexist in those spaces and avoid bullying of each other in terms of when people are trying to mobilize. I think we have seen in ugly spaces where people these days are committing suicide because of social media rants and comments. It is important that we build young people that understands the dictates of politics, to understand that you are there, I am here, but we believe in different things. And you will never convince me to believe in ZANU-PF as I'm standing here. But I can sit here with Kandishaya and say that, comrade, this is the agenda that we want to take. What is the agenda? The agenda by 4H today is to ensure that we have every young person, regardless of their political affiliation, to look towards voter mobilization for the plebiscite in 2023. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We also want to have the presenter from NCA to tell us one or two things, a few challenges they are facing, and then we can hear from the audience.
Much, Sharon. If you may allow me just a minute to digress as well. The very concept of tolerance that we're here to speak about, it can be there in name in this gathering, but probably not in character. It's just probably the typical way of human mannerism where we say no offense before we just offend somebody, right? Because we can then say the previous speaker digressed, then you digress yourself, and at the end we end up demeaning each other and making a comparative analysis that we have this and the others don't have that. But tolerance is accepting that everything starts from somewhere. I understand that even ZANU-PF itself was formed probably in some house in Highfield, and I'm made to understand. It starts from somewhere. You didn't have a constitution then. You didn't have anything then.
Sorry, sir.
Yes, so I believe the very purpose of tolerance starts from you understanding the context of where you are and the language to use there, and to show respect, that you acknowledge that these are actors, we have the same footing as what we have. So, I'm almost lost, like, why are we here? Because then we are losing the plot along the way. But anyway, to respond to the question that Sharon has posed, the challenges that we're facing in our efforts to encourage voter registration amongst our youths. The first thing is that the issue of IDs, Commissioner, sir, if you could engage the registrar's office to avail information that they use, especially in vetting who gets an ID according to what they need. Because I had a problem myself where I was trying to get my ID some 2 weeks ago. I went to Makombe first, and I was told you have to go to Market Square. So I woke up early in the morning. And the other thing, before I actually forget it because it just popped up, they only take 80 people at every station that they are passing out IDs. So I was in Makombe at 3 a.m. the first day. And they just opened that gate and everyone, there was a stampede to where you get the IDs, right? And they counted 80 people. But when I got there at 3 a.m., I was actually within the 80, right? But I didn't get the ID. But anyway, after that, they looked at my birth certificate and said, you should go to Market Square. I went to Market Square the following day, actually earlier than I did the first day. I went there, they said, this falls under Market Square, but not here, go to employment. Down there, Magabo. That's where I ended up going the next day and then getting my ID. But you wake up very early. I'm sure I was made to believe that they're working from 7 to 7 and inclusive of weekends. But the limits that they have, by probably 1, they are done with the 80 people. What are they doing the rest of the day? So the issue is, can we have information being availed to us on the vetting process? Because at the end, people are not that patient. I go there, I try to get the ID today. If I'm not that persistent, and if it's not needed somewhere where it's pressing, I might end up actually not getting the ID. So that scenario is actually recurrent if people are not that consistent with that. Then the other thing, the last thing I think that we think is a challenge is the youth from the National Constitutional Assembly, is that we, with due respect, Commissioner, we would want ZEC to portray a sanitized image that gives confidence in our people to participate in an election and believe that we'll get results and they will be as they are. Because if we see some inclinations that you probably you probably relate to so and so better than you do with the others, that's where the voter apathy starts from, where people believe that there is no result that will change. But the issue is about people having the confidence that we have a very neutral umpire that we have who will moderate and make sure that the election goes smoothly. So sanitize the image, engage the registrar's office, they take more people, and they avail information on what they need for the vetting for them to avail the documents that we'll be looking for. Thank you very much.
Okay, so now we're going to have a plenary. You're going to have the panelists, the audience, going back and forth just for about 10 minutes in a mature, tolerant, peaceful manner. So before we take the mic, I believe Comrade had a few words to say.
Thank you so much. You know, when my brother was speaking, I somehow felt corrected. My brother from NCA, I felt corrected that, you know, as I said earlier on, the points that he is raising in terms of maybe the Registrar General's office issuing IDs, maybe 180 per day. If you get back to what I said before, if you have something to defend, you grow passion, you'll be passionate about it. The challenge is that people that are not from our youth league are not as patient as we are. If you look at those 80 people, and others, 67 are from ZANU-PF. And others, and other things, you know. So at the end of the day, we will have ZEC, Vamangwana. My political parties have an ideology, you know, commitment in their people. Also, the last point that I want to say is that, as you have witnessed here, we have quitters in politics. People who want to rule, who cannot hold a conversation. The same way they kept changing faces. We started with the lady, we ended up with that guy, he's also out. It's the same way they will be defeated in the incoming elections, candidate after candidate. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm Odamin Mashingise from Ruwa Councillor for Ward 1. There is something which I have noted, which was said by our comrade from ZANU-PF. Anyway, a comrade from ZANU-PF said, if we are to have peaceful elections, I'm just glad he knows we never happened to have peaceful elections in Zimbabwe. I quoted that. He said so. From Mukoma Nende, he happened to talk of the arrests on mobilizing people. Fine. I would like to say, not the Nende blessing, the other one from the other, our brother from another mother because of our not father. He happened to talk about arrests. I have learned the CCC people happen to have some modes which they happen to do on campaigns or so, which attracts police for them to be arrested and say we have been arrested for mobilizing people to register. Fine, since they don't have the constitution, I will not talk of that matter. We do happen to have the issue of IDs, issue which was talked about by my brother Nende, and not Nende as such. Trupu ma plastic, ma tissue, ma paper, ma ID, and those issues come to election. Until that skuda ishi. Zeki, moti bazira ipapo. Because vanhu murukupa ma paper vape imani ma ID chaiwo pa election chaiwo amusuzwa alawa kutanga chishanda kutanga vanga vachiregister those people with the ma paper ma tissue amurku apa. Then tikuenda pa issue proof of residence. I'm a councillor, I'm in alderman. Ndiri kunyorera vanhu inini vachinda kuno register kuno register. Pamwe pacho muruti fine tawanda tubva paimba yakati iname councillor ndigari pamba penyu mukoma Nende banda kunyorera tsamba yekuti sa councillor ndokuzivai muri mugari wemuruwa pa stand number yakati amurambiri kuregister. I've been doing that and somehow we've been working nevanhu ve-CCC vezano vechindi chavanyorera matsamba kuti vange vachinoregister those youth. Like I applaud what mukoma vezano vataura. Vapana veduka vasingatodi zano yacho havavhoti havaregister ndo patiri kudyirwa. What we need to do, let's mobilize these guys, these zano guys kuti vatibatsire because vanoda change varuma. Tende na vatibatsire kuti how best we can do to mobilize my youth kutanga chinoregister because shanduko vanoida. That one is true. Shanduko vanoida. And the majority of these guys vari muno aoka vazhinji vacho inditori better off than evil vizano. But chatuda we are doing this peacefully but techiunzana chokwadi.
Okay.
Kuti muri kutambura hama dzangu.
Right, thank you, sir.
Mudzara wenyu ya asipo.
Thank you.
Inene ndandine nyaya 1 registration inongovhurwa for a short period of time. Ko padi kumbonzi registration kana ichiitwa yoitwa throughout the year handiti kuti munhu wese akwanise kuregister pano kuvhura yovhurwa January up to December. Handiti vanhu tinovhota ka 1 in 5 years but padi kungonzi every time registration is very open for everyone kwete kuti tolimita zvino time yekutakura na elections uchaona vakutakura kuvhura registration vanhu vamotadza kuregister kwacho. Let's have a constant ngirikini operation ye voter registration. Munhu angoenda kuno register paadira then tine nyaya yema IDs. Panozvarwa mwana hati mwana anotorwa birth anobva atopiwa ne-ID number yake handiti ko padi kungonzi papa anotorwa birth racho obva atopiwa kana ID yake papo padi kungonzwa haro bhozi number munotipa but ID yacho hamusi kutipa.
Okay, can we just do this quickly?
All right, comrades, thank you, Intercessor, for giving me this opportunity. I have many questions that I need to address to my honorable comrade from the other parties and PF. All right. I have noted that stupidity is considered to be patriotic. And for that matter, it is unwise to be intelligent. Comrades, the question is it called unpatriotic if I, as a youth, come out and demand for an academic justice or economic emancipation? Number one, that's the question that I want to address for you. Then there is this issue you have raised concerning the constitution for the newly formed babe of CCC. Comrades, under the normal conditions of Zimbabwe, what we are trying to say is a baby who was born yesterday, why is she not having a national ID? But in Zimbabwe, we are saying, Muna anopiwa national ID about 18 years, right? But imimi CC yakafungwa zuru, and you're expecting CC to have a constitution, why? So it's like you are expecting a baby who was born in Zuru for today to have a national ID. So, let me speak. All right, fine, fine, comrades. Then the next question, okay, there is a bit of, sorry. You know, if you don't have patience, these things, they go in stages. You cannot say we are formed today and Mangwana Tagudashi Constitution. Fine. Then the next thing is, comrade, I want to correct you on the issue of land redistribution. You know what? The CCC president, the advocate Nelson Chamisa, is very clear. Even his followers, the comrades like Tendai, they are not saying you want to bring back the land to the whites, no. But they are just saying one farm, one person for Zimbabweans, not whites. They are just against the issue of violence, which was used by the Zimbabweans. Get me right, comrade. Comrade from ZANU-PF, I'm addressing you. Those guys, they are very clear. They are not saying we want to give farmers to whites. No. They are saying we are in support of the land, Yagatora, from whites. But we are just saying one man, one farm policy. And they are saying we are totally against the Violent Act, which was used to take that land. They are not saying we want to give this land back to white farmers. Get it clear, my dear comrade. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Can we please want to come back to the panel? Want to come back to the panel for a bit, and then we can move on with the program. So just one.
All right, thank you.
After this one, we're coming back to the panel.
All right. Thank you. I'm very happy in the program yatinayo nas yama arranger 4H Zimbabwe. But I also thought kuti kachitaura nyaya peace building, we must also look kuti vanhu vacho vari kumbokondoresa kuti munyika musaita peace ndivanani. It's very unfortunate kuti tine a panelist atori mberi kwedu who only last week was mobilizing thugs to go and invade a private property, to go and steal goats in Murewa. Wait.
Can you please let him finish?
Wait. Number two. Atigoni kutaura nyaya yepeace kana tisati taziva kuti who is the biggest perpetrator of violence in this country. The biggest perpetrator of violence in this country is Emerson Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF. We have seen what happened on 1 August 2018 in the streets of Harare, where innocent civilians were shot dead. We have seen what happened only over the weekend in Zengeza, Chitungwiza, where CCC agent was brutally assaulted by ZANU-PF thugs. For peace to sustain in this country,
I think we got
have to be open. We have to tell the truth. There can't be peace in this country when a cabinet minister go and steal more than 50 million which is meant for citizens,
Comrades.
including them, so that they can benefit when they are attacked by COVID.
Comrades.
But that minister,
Okay, comrade would like to continue with the program.
Can I finish
Would
off?
like to continue with the
Can
program
I
to
round off?
promote peace
Can
and
I round
voter registration.
Can I round off? Can I round off? Then to my brother Jasper Mangwana. Kana tiona Zeki wa Mangwana. Tenge tiona a referee.
Okay, my
But
brothers.
when the referee begins to laud an opposite team, then that referee becomes questionable. We have seen a tweet yawa Mangwana wakagara up. Yawanga wachita loud ZANU PF.
Comrade, my
Yet we expect to be neutral. So I'm rounding up. So kuzeki tokumbirisa out kana mchirefura elections chire gai kutarita kuti munedivira muri kukuzirira kana muri refu.
Okay, Panzuiko, Masa, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. We would like to hear from the Honorable Mavetere and Honorable Changirai now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Pamsoroi. No, Pamsoroi. Ndoda kupindura zvavhunzwa. Pamsoroi. My comrades, Pamsoroi. My brother ataura zvekuti party yakangofana nemwana achangozvarwa. Thank you so much, my brother. You have corrected me. It means we have to wait for kuti muite 18 years kuti muzoita constitution. I think vanhu vangozvinzwira kuti muchiri mwana achangozvarwawo henyu. Thank you so much for that. Then the other issue on land, I thank you, my brother, for reasoning better than Tendai Bit. If you are not to reverse the land reform program, thank you so much. Then we on this Stephen Chuma Sarkozy. See, you can't take him for serious. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Comrade Kanshai. I wanted to respond to my brother, but unfortunately, he has left Sengai Mashingise on the issue. Perhaps he misconstrued what I was transporting. What I was transporting logically speaks to the issue of things that are apparent, things that are before the courts of law. The issue whereby we have our candidates for council who have been arraigned before the courts on allegations of breaking electoral law with regards to registration of people at specific households. And this, we see it as persecution by prosecution as a targeted way of attacking our elected officials within a CCC. So maybe he misconstrued me. I do understand that pastors have got the mandate to even sign affidavits. We have the commissioners of oaths, they are signing affidavits. The members of parliament are signing those affidavits. In that regard, I agree with them. But the issue was on whereby it is now systematic that people that are under CCC as councillors and MPs are being arraigned before courts for having signed those affidavits. Yet, the electoral laws, as well as the understanding of the constitution with regards to the matters of ensuring that everyone has got the right to universal suffrage, give them power to participate in that regard. So they are now being persecuted through to the issue of COVID subscriptor.
Sorry, sir. Sorry,
comrade, let us not digress issues. I think I've seen you standing.
Okay,
you've got the body of an elephant.
Comrade.
But you are exhibiting a mindset of a termite.
Comrade, maybe we should. Can we move on to the next?
Behave.
Comrade, can we move on to the next? Thank you. Thank you. Would like now to move on to the role of parliament.
No, we don't take insults.
No, if
no. If you want us to continue, Yes, insulted somebody. We cannot take that. No, let's agree. Let's agree. That's what.
Comrade, I don't know your name. Perhaps let me address you. In the interest. Okay, comrades are here present. At this juncture in time, allow me to express no, it's fine. I'm not going to use the word sorry. But for the sake of understanding whatever we are doing here, I think it must sink. No, comrade, there are very many ways of withdrawing. Comrade, relax, comrade. I withdraw the statement.
For the sake of progress, can we please now move on?
No, not for the sake of progress. He is not withdrawing for the sake of progress, but because he was wrong. Exactly. For the sake of progress.
No,
Thank
for
you,
me.
Comrade Antikaganj. Thank you. So the next program then.
Can we please now move on to the Parliamentary Youth Caucus? We'd like to hear from the chairperson, we want to hear from Honorable Mavetera, and hear their role when it comes to voter registration, peaceful electoral processes, and development.
Right, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for this conversation. I would like to thank 4H for having such a very important platform today, which makes people converge and discuss issues concerning the youth. I think the common denominator which we all need to be discussing about and be quite cognizant of is that we are all youth and then we are all Zimbabweans. And that is what is very important. And I think the reason why we have got all these tempers flaring up is because now we are at the I would say it's probably not really at the climax, but we are already in the election mode. And because of that, people are bound to defend their territories. So I'm quite sure what is happening here is just a matter of us having different political affiliations and different perceptions and also understandings that, and also ideologies that we all come from. But I think the most important thing that we all need to applaud is that we are here for a conversation, which I believe is very, very important. I'm sure Madam Chimbiri here mentioned that they last did this in 2018. So to be honest with you, this conversation for us as young people is very, very important. And we need this conversation. And you know, the issue is we need to understand that in the political field, this is very, very common. You all have got different understandings, and truly speaking, you all will never be able to agree until and unless you go and cast your vote, and one is emerged the winner. So to be honest with you, I think it's quite something that I thought we all needed to really go through. My name is Tatenda Mavetera, like I said before. Let me also be able to welcome the Vice Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee of Youth, of the Youth Caucus, who is also here. Maybe you can stand, Madam Honorable Mamombe. She's the Vice Chair. She is the Vice Chair of the Parliament Youth Caucus. And today again we have got Comrade Vincent Changirai, who is the Treasurer for the Parliament Youth Caucus. I'm sure he's here. Sorry? Comrade Changirai? I'm sure there he is. Reason why I had to make them stand is you need to understand that I am from ZANU-PF. Madam Mamombe is from CCC. Comrade Changirai is from MDCT. but we all work together ku portfolio committee ye youth caucus. Toshanda tese zvekuti hongu tinokwanisa kutadza kunzwisana because my ideologies edu akasiyana. But tinoshanda tese so that we represent you as the people of Zimbabwe. And I believe this is exactly what we need to do as we are seated here, to have the interest of Zimbabwe at front, kuti chii chatiri kuda concerning the youth of Zimbabwe pama election. Conversation ndoda kuti ndikunzwisei, Comrade Muchenji, thank you very much. Isu takatoimirirawo kana isusu kuZANU-PF kuti tigare tiwirirane, because hapana patinowirana because pese panongowina, pane vamwe vanenge votaura kuti pane vamwe vanenge vakabirira, vamwe vanenge vachisi takabirirwa, but game rekupolitics ndero paunodyiwa unongoti wakabirira. Are we agreed? Not that I'm trying to be political or the other way. Iwewe futi unenge wakajigwa futi as well. You can still, iwonu wakakunda futi, unokwasa ngozi futi wakabirira. And anyone has got a way that they have to say. But today the conversation, like I said, is for us as the portfolio youth caucus. It's also say portfolio youth caucus. Our main objective is for us to be able to get influencers and also experts that are there to speak on the issues of the youth. Our main objective also is also to promote and also drive and also advocate for policies and legal frameworks that will enable Zimbabwean youth to be able to harness the demographic dividend for sustainable and national development. And we believe that youth are a valuable asset, which also has got a momentum that they have right now, which can actually be able to effectively have young people and the youth participate within the development of the community and the country. So, as we are here, the main question that we asked is, what is it that we do as the portfolio committee, as the youth caucus? What is it that we do as the Parliament Youth Caucus? What we do mainly is we have got an oversight role, which is mandated in the Constitution for us as Parliament, to be having an oversight role for institutions that are there. I understand here we've got the Commissioner who is here. Let me also be able to acknowledge him being here. They are in charge of ZEC, of course, as commissioners. But we play an oversight role as Parliament through the portfolio committees and also through the caucuses that we have going forward. We are also there to also look at youth policies and also laws that are also enshrined within the Constitution and make sure that at least they are implemented fully. And again, we also look at finding out, especially on the legal framework, what is it that we can do better for the young people to actually be able to effectively participate in politics. And what is it that we have done towards voter registration? Toward voter registration, we have not done much. Reason being, we as Parliament, we are not very much actively involved when it comes to that. But what we do is we are there to make sure that the environment that is operated in within all the institutions that are there to man elections is actually a very peaceful environment. How do we do that? We make sure that at least we work on the legal frameworks. We also work on making sure that there are laws that are supposed to be abided in when it comes to issues to do with politics. Also, when we look at it, what we've also done is, I think you all understand that we have got the National Peace and Reconciliation Commission, which also we play an oversight role as Parliament. So we are always constantly engaging them through us inviting them to Parliament, and also even through question and answers also, whereby we also look at ministers asking them questions to say what is it that they're doing towards voter participation or also youth participation. What we have also done in Parliament is that we have also tried to make sure that laws also be skewed towards the young people's participation in politics. How have we done that? I think you all understand that with the Constitutional Amendment number 2, we as parliamentarians, we went on and pushed to make sure that at least the 10 seats that were allocated by His Excellency Dr. Idi Mnangagwa would come to fruition. I think you understand that in Parliament, we also have got the processes that entail us to be able to vote and also be able to make sure that we push for legislation to be put in place. So on that one, we are happy that through Constitutional Amendment number 2, we voted, since you have given us the mandate to be able to represent you, especially when we get in Parliament. So with that mandate that you have given us, we voted for the 10 seats for young people to be able to get the 10 seats in 2023, especially for them to get into National Assembly through the PR. What we've also managed to do is we also managed to lobby for the extension of the women's quota. Myself, I'm an MP under the women's quota. So what we managed to do is we are also thankful as well that His Excellency went on and said it was quite important, His Excellency Dr. Idi Mnangagwa, he said it was quite important for us to extend, since we have got minimum numbers of young people when it comes, and also women when it comes to them getting involved in parliament. So there we managed to extend the women's quota to make sure that at least it has got 2 more terms. And then what we also then managed to do, we managed to also, there's a provision which was given in Victoria Falls where women councillors went. They went to Victoria Falls and then they met His Excellency and then they asked from him to say, can we have also a quota, especially at the councils? So we are happy that we've allocated this 30%, which is supposed to go to local councils. So on this 30%, what then happens is that there was supposed to be legislation. And we're happy through Constitutional Amendment number 2, we manage as Parliament to also approve and make sure that we institute this law. So now we are happy to announce that in terms of participation, we have got 30%, which is supposed to go to young people and also the women. So it's 15% is going to the young women and 15% is going to go to the older women. So on that, we are happy that we managed to institute that law, and we are happy that now we have got young people and also women that are going to also be able to participate in the local government level and be able to have the 30% going forward. And also we then manage as well through Constitutional Amendment number 2 in Parliament. Now we have got 7 seats that have been allocated, especially for the President to be able to appoint ministers. So on those 7, of course there is no law, but as we are going to go forward towards that time, we are also going to start pushing through us making up some point of privileges and also even some point, some point of national interest to make sure that on the 7 ministers that have to be appointed by the President, we are hoping that at least 2 or 3 are supposed to be young people that need to be allocated there. So it's a conversation that we are going to be having, that we have agreed as the Parliament Youth Caucus, that we need to make sure that that is also instituted. So for us as the Parliament Youth Caucus, we have also said to ourselves, we also need to advocate. We need to also continue pushing when it comes to laws that are pro-young people. And this is exactly what we need to be doing, and this is the conversation that we need to do. I know Honorable Changirai is part of the International Parliamentary Union, and he's going to be mentioning about something that we're also moving forward to as the Parliament Youth Caucus, to make sure that at least we get a lot of involvement when it comes to young people. So for us, I think, as I conclude, I think what we do mainly is we look onto issues to do with participation. How best can we make young people get to participate? We also have got the youth bill, which is also coming through, which is still in our books, that we also need to be making sure that this is implemented. On that, what we wanted to do is we realized that a lot of youth issues are not addressed because we don't have a law that compels every institution to be able to make sure youth issues are involved. So now we are also pushing to make sure that we conclude on the National Youth Bill. The reason why we need it in Parliament is that we will be able to at least be able to be having an enforceable law that compels every institution to make sure that there's 25% representation of young people, even in law, even when it comes to economic issues, social issues, even political issues. So the moment that we have a law, at least we can then enforce it. And then we'll start behaving to calling everyone to task to say, how come we are not adhering to the 25% that will be been allocated by youth? But as much as we've got the 25%, we are still yet to debate. It might not necessarily be 25%, but the conversation at least will be there for us to start saying, is it 25%? Are we going to push for 50%? Harnessing on the youth demographic dividend that we've always spoken about. So in that, I'm sure I'm going to leave my colleague, Honorable Changirai, to then be able to highlight some of the issues as well that we think are also important, that also need to be addressed when it comes to youth participation.
Can you hear me? Thank you very much, Honorable Maetera, for those points that you raised. I think to the organizers, 4C, I think the 4H, sorry, 4C, Ndakufunga triple C. Saga, no, 4H, thank you so much for this function. I think what we've seen in here is an important indicator that we need more programs like this to help bridge the gaps that's going on within political parties. Normal. I don't think we need to shun this away as if punish something that's amazing that's happening in here. It's been so long since we've actually engaged across political divides. So there are a lot of people who ground who so this is very normal for us to come in here, I don't know what we're doing to each other. So I think we just need more programs to help us get back together or find a common ground to work towards. My comrades, I think all of us understand that in Zimbabwe, the youth comprise the population of about 70%. So tisu majority tirimo munyika munomu. But if we look at my policies, the country as it stands right now, there's nothing benefiting the youth. Why do I say this? My youth, we don't have jobs right now. And it doesn't matter whether you're ZANU-PF, it doesn't matter whether you're Triple C, whether you're MDC. My youth is nabas as it currently stands. So right now, I think through the Youth Caucus, these are issues that we should be pushing forward. Uko ground, uko tonates and yes. But can atapinda mu room like this, let's find common ground to help us bridge the gap for young people. And I think it's very important for us to
Should I achida kuprova kuti election iri wrong haagoni kuzviprova asi kana mana v11 can prove kuti election yakamira sei. To be honest with you, I'll tell you, I'm the youngest commissioner in the EMBs in Southern Africa. My election management bodies in Southern Africa, I went to ECF to Zambia. I'm the youngest one. Do you know that what these guys told me, some of the senior guys in the election management body, they were saying, we have not seen a very transparent electoral process like the one in Zimbabwe polling. Comes to we took social media bloggers, we took them through the process of polling. Kana muri panamba makamera pa polling office yedu amuzi process ye polling erem. Kana muri ma politicians sure akamboita ma agents akamboita ma observer. Do you know the polling process? You know is that, do you have any problem with that? Tinovhura box tase box varakaita retranslate trovakwa ma ballot paper ari pana pamangani amuve varesizvi moverengwa maserial number musati mavhura mabhox amuri vanoti mukati munofanira kunge mune mapepa mangani. Aiwa guys, let's be honest. When you are bringing issues to the commission, that's why I was saying that for us to move forward, the moment you say that, the young people you want to come and vote, they will not come to vote. If you have an issue with an electoral process, you are the people in parliament. And in parliament, amusirimeri. Kana mune problem nemtoma makaisa muri parliament. So kira parliament, munogadzira zeka igadziri mutemo. Go back to parliament and say, mutemo watakaisa we polling we zeki, uri biased, toda kugadzisa. Mogadzirisa. Number two, maybe another issue I'll raise with you. When it comes to the campaigning environment, Zimbabwe Electoral Commission does not control the campaign environment. Munoviziva. Is there an electoral provision for the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission to control the campaign environment? Munoya kwatiri mutura unoita rally kuchipinge sakati approve zoitwa nezeke rezvo. Such issues, don't even talk about ZEC. You're just denting us for issues that are outside our mandate. You know very well the procedures that are required when you're campaigning. And you know very well this is where you take these issues. But however, because a lot of us would feel that because ZECA, there's no registration regulation, you are the easiest punching bag for political players. When anything happens, ZEC this, ZEC that. Knowing very well this is out of ZEC. There are institutions that have been given, that have been established by the Constitution. One National Peace and Reconciliation, one Zimbabwe Human Rights, one Zimbabwe Media Commission, one Broadcasting Authority of Zimbabwe. These are some of the institutions which the Commission work with. ZEC ina masimba eku investigator and prosecutor. ZEC cannot investigate, cannot prosecute. Go ahead. If you are claiming to be representing young people, we expect you to be people who are reading the Constitution. So when I'm talking about this, you should not supposed to be shocked to say that you don't know that ZEC has no arresting powers. ZEC has no arresting powers. ZEC has no investigating powers. According to the Constitution, Yamaga Itemur Parliament. So to take ZEC to task over an issue that requires an investigation, over an issue that requires prosecution, over an issue that requires judgment from court, are we being honest? We're not being honest. So what are we saying? The electoral processes are so plenty. If you are in Parliament, to expect what kana mune problem nezvinhu ndoko amuri kuzvigadzirisa nokuti makavhoterwa kana mayouth achitenda munotimirira ende munotigadzirisira zvinhu zvedu saka tikutarisa kuti kana muriko ndozunzwa mei muchitaura izvi. I'll also bring it to your attention. Zimbabwe inoaccepta anonzi maobserver, inotoma accredita, anototendwa kuita pana torodzi mapolling processes anonzi kana polling processes ichitwa inoitwa yakati say what are the roles of an observer. We are one of the countries inotora observer. I believe some of you know very well that there are other countries that we have not even invited to go and observe. But in Zimbabwe, we do that. Why do we do that? We are trying to ensure that as we do our processes, they are transparent. We are able to see the work that the Commission is doing. The issue of young people as well, I'll bring it to your attention, is that our biggest problem, our political environment is polarized. Do you agree? It's even witnessed by what we've seen here. Our political environment is polarized. We are failing to agree on a single thing that we are all claiming to be representing. Everyone wants to go into office and say, I'll give you a peace for Zimbabwe. But when we are saying, let's act the peace for Zimbabwe, that's not what we are seeing here. We want to challenge the young people, especially those that are going to parliament. Can we go there and please behave honorably and represent the interests of the people and uphold the constitution of the land, which is also taking into consideration, take Zimbabwe Electoral Commission to account according to the statutes of the law. Don't take ZEC to account over emotions or over. Don't take the commission to account over emotions or perceptions. Election inopera pa V11. Changu chokupesera chanisha kutaura uzvangu ndechekuti tinoshandawo nemaorganizations akasiyana siyana ma-CSOs. We've been trying to partner with them to ensure that they conduct voter education. Pamasura patata kuita dambudziko revanhu vanoenda kuvanhu vachiti mukanoregister kuvhota tinokupai mari. Saka vanhu akapiwa mari ukanonyoresa kuvhota tokupa mari. Vanouya vari 30 akanovhotera akanoregister kwamutoko kusura mangwana oenda kumondoro kusura mangwana oenda kwakati achida kuti mari ita sei ibude. Kana mari yabuda zvikauya commission panoonekwa kuti pane maduplicates munhu akambonyoresa kudi kuvhota. Kana tamubvisa manumbers anozobuda anoita samashoma. You remember very well that there was a time where the commission was said yakanyepa kuti yakaunderstand mafigures evanhu yakaregister kuvhota. Do you know that? You remember that time? Mkoma wangu achidependa nesocial media. Most of vanhu 7,000 vaona nhasi vasati vaya kuzeki kuti takanyoresa kuvhota padatimo. But because a CSO was justifying his budget at the expense of a whole commission that conducts elections in Zimbabwe. How can you justify your budget tarnishing the image of a commission which appoints and declares a member of parliament, a councillor, and even the president? Take us off that. Take on 7,000. I'll take you back to the 28th March by-elections. Do you know that as a commissioner I was still waiting to get issues of that by-election? Pana akanga achipikisana here nemaresults anoti ini ndakaenda kuno pandaifanira ndichivhota ndikaona zita rangu risipo ndinonzi ndikine ID number yakati zvinhu zvizhinji kungori wabembera mudzimba kuti mune muroi. Muroi wacho hauyi secommission. Come to the kana pane munhu anoti inini zita rangu rakabviswa papolice station, that person should come to the commission and say, my name is Jasper, my ID number is this, I went to Mzarabani musoku vota but ina ndangoshinja vota zero asi zita rangu hapadi hapana. Then commission your address. Commission in a 73 district offices, in a 63 district offices, ne 10 provinces. Regandi page set taura. Commission is yanga in a BVR blitz, yanga iri 210 constituencies. Yevano ngai famba nemakits vachinyoresa vanhu kuvhota kugadzirisa zvinhu izvozvo. Chinhu chakatendwa necommission baby ndipedzi semkom.
Can you finish and then we can address him?
Chinhu chakatendwa necommission pavoters ratinaro. Tinoziva chese mistakes akaitwa 2017. Evanhu vakaitwa misposts kumaconstituency asiriwo avo. Munomaziva nditi. Anotorimo mureport ye2018 elections. Commission yakatenda kuti izvi sure 2018 parikaadopta technology takaita mistake. If you look into the government gazettes in the past 2 weeks, you see a lot of notices coming from the commission. Why? Because those are the things we are rectifying. Some of the people have even approached the commission to say, what we are saying to you today is, wherever the commission is at fault, it is always good to approach the commission first and understand the matter. Timengoa munozoona achamanya pa social media. Asi kuti chichigadzisika achadi achagadzirisa. Ndakupedzisa social media. Tichanga tichikuitirawo conference yema youth on voting. Chakuzivisa ndofunga nhasi kuti musi wacho ndirini wokuti tikurudzire vechidiki kuti vauye kuzonyoresa kuvhota. Asiwo social media iri kutiwisira pasi. Chinotirwisira pasi sezeki. Hatina problem kuti express your free speech. Our problem is fake news. Tikuti musaita of fake news. Usatorowo ka ballot box reku Burundi woti ndero muZimbabwe richimana mumunda. Iyo Zimbabwe sina ballot box rakadaro. Kana waona twaita mistake chibvisa nditi. Kuti saramba zvichitenderera because karamba zvichitenderera muri kudzoka muchitizeki inoriga but zvamaisa pa social media hapana munhu ari kuzvibvisa but imimi vacho imimi makavhota munotoziva zvakaita ballot box from Zimbabwe in America. If you are going to be the honest young people of this land, why don't we go there to defend and make the narrative correct? Where the commission has done wrong, let it be clear. Where the commission has not done wrong, let it be clear. Tukuti social media wakomana ndo imeri kukonzera vhota apa. Do you agree? Kana wise torai zeki nenyaya dzine mutemo mukati. Chandatukudza ndechekuti 28 March takaita by election. Nanhasi hatina nyaya yati yauya yanzi iyi iri valid inoti igadzirwe necommission pamusoro peconduct election iyoyo. Zvazvinoreva wise handi member of parliament ndimakaisa macourts Zvazora zvoti kana maita problem necommission, munoenda kacourt handizvo. Electoral court inosetwa up. ZEC did not do its job according to the law. ZEC yakabatira munhu apa napapa napapa. I'll talk lastly of the issue of proof of residence. Proof of residence inonyorwa iyo. Commission haina simba rekuramba munhu kana vanyora affidavit. But what that person is doing is committing a crime of perjury. Kana munhu akareva nhema undogara panzvimbo yakati asingagari papa. Crime yakomita perjury. But commission kuti ite address ekuziva kuti address number 30 ingatora capacity yevanhu 40 haina. Tinourana tese. Kana munhu akandogara panumber 1 chakadaro commission haina madress wayo. But however ima parliamentarians ndimakati muda maaffidavit handizvo here. Hamusi makamaitira noise here 2018. Mukati vanhu ngavanyorese because proof of residence iri kunetsa. But maculprits anoabuse maaffidavits ndimi futi maparliamentarians ndimi mapoliticians. Commission hainyori affidavit ndimi unonyora and ndimi unotomadhinda. Mutemo unoti kana pane munhu anoti ndiri kuona munhu ari muvoters roll nzvimbo inoi asingafaniri kugara munzvimbo inoi is able to object. Unotora affidavit woti I object kuti John ari kunzi anogara munomu hagare munomu. Ini ndini ningousa commission. Commission yomuda anogara naye pasi zvowonisana. Handizvo here. Saka mukaona pamba pane vanhu 60 mofunga kuti ZEC avapa maaffidavit yavanyorera ipapo. Mukamatarisa muchiona akasainiwa nemapoliticians iwayo. Saka at the end of the day, can we really say ZEC ine problem? Nokuti tawana address nevanhu 30. Kauti tawana, these are the issues we need to be realistic. The last thing that I'll take to is about voter registration atagwa na mkomangu. Aistopi. Voter registration is continuous. The 2 biometric voter registration bits were meant to inform delimitation. Tukuinda kunogadzisa mgano takata sana 2023 kuti ma constituency akamera sei nokuda kwebumbiriro mutemo riripo. Voter registration is just stopped. However, we feel that there are communities that are very far away from our offices in rural areas where they are very far away. What the commission will consider in the near future is also to see if it can mobilize resources for another possible blitz if resources are there. But for now, because we already had our election calendar, we are focusing on delimitation. After delimitation, we look at other issues. And also maybe the other thing that I also want to bring to attention is after this conference yema youth yatoda kuita tichazokumbira kuti timbofambawo nenyaya dzenharaunda vakomana. Tikafamba pamakambeni mapepa akazara ipapo akawandisa. Ende muri kuda kukambena muchimoda kuti muite environment imire zvakanaka naka. Ngatimbounganawo pamwe chete tichiwirana tisingatauri zvimwe zvinhu. Chingotaura nyaya dze-environment handizvo here. Tichimbobvisa mapost edu kana election yadi yapera tichingoonesana tichimbotengeranawo makoko tichitaura nyaya isu commission yedu tichikubetserai. Ndatenda zvikuru.
Thank you so much. Okay, fine. Before we take any questions, we just want to hear from the board member, the ZYC board member, Mr. Brian Sitole. He's going to come up here and say 1 or 2 things. And then we're going to come back to you and take questions from the media and also from the audience.
No, you can still clap for me. So, afternoon, everyone. As has been introduced, my name is Brian Sitole, and I'm a board member with Zimbabwe Youth Council and a broadcast journalist by profession. It's been quite a morning, eh? Who agrees with me? Listening to what was happening just made me of a very short story that I want to start with. Before I get into my presentation, please do bear with me. It's called the 6 Blind Men of Hindustan. Hindustan is a town that is in India. So there were 6 blind men of Hindustan who all wanted to see an elephant. Now, elephants were hard to come by in that area, and they always wondered what an elephant looks like. And then eventually, an elephant strolled into their area, and they all had a chance to go and touch it. So the first man was able to touch the elephant's body. It felt hard, big, and wide. The elephant is like a wall, he said. So I went back to his friend and said, you know what, I touched an elephant. It's like a wall. The second man touched the elephant's tusk. It felt, nyanga. It felt smooth, hard, and sharp. The elephant is like a spear, he said. Now, there are 2 more opinions of the same animal. Third man touched the elephant's leg. It felt thick and hard. The elephant is like a tree, he said. 3 opinions, 1 elephant. The fourth man touched the elephant's ear. It felt thin and it moved. The elephant is like a fan, he said. The other man touched the elephant's tail. It felt thin and strong. The elephant is like a snake, he said. You can imagine the argument that came from these men when they were discussing what an elephant looked like. And so a little girl heard the argument, and she says to them, each one of you is right, but you are all wrong, but I understand what you mean. So listening to the points that have been raised by the young people in the room, especially from political parties, you can tell that we've got one common vision. We all want to see an empowered young person, don't we? We all want to see a country where young people can freely express themselves and participate in processes like the electoral processes. But the problem that we have is we're looking at this from our own point of view, from our own angle. So each of us is right, but we are all wrong. Because we have taken this platform that we're supposed to use to advance the youth agenda, and we are using it to score our own scores, which is a great disadvantage to young people. Our political parties have got structures. Tinema youth ari kumzarabani, tinema youth ari kugokwe, tinema youth ari kubinga, ari kucholocho, who are banking on everyone sitting in this room to say, do you think we are doing them a service by the kind of conduct that we are seeing here? Are they proud of us? If they are to come across the conversation we were having earlier on in the day, how do they feel? Do they feel represented? Food for thought. As I said before, I'm here to talk a little bit about the Ministry of Youth, Sport, Arts and Recreation, and specifically the Zimbabwe Youth Council, and what we are doing to ensure that we also push for youth participation when it comes to governance and electoral processes. The first thing I'd like to talk about is that as the Youth Council, we register and also ensure that we regulate the work of youth associations. What is an association? An association is any gathering of young people that is there to advance their agenda. And so what this cascades to is that we've got different types of associations. We have got, as part of our associations, political parties. We've got 2 political parties that are a part of the Zimbabwe Youth Council, that have registered their associations, and they're a part of the Zimbabwe Youth Council. Not because they were invited, but because they came through and said, we want to work with you guys. That is the MDC and ZANU-PF. The rest, we are waiting for you to apply. And the door is open. And so one other thing that we have run recently is that in our efforts to also try and ensure that we have a common field, we understand what youth in politics want to do. We created a youth platform for youth leaders within political parties. We had our first meeting with them, just to correct the narrative that the last meeting of that nature was held in 2013. We had a meeting with youth leaders from political parties last year, where we came together, sat down and asked, what are the issues? How do we move forward? How do we ensure that we see the youth bulge translating into parliament and council and other places of governance? We want to see young people taking up spaces so that they can be able to represent themselves. We are happy with the quota system, which will ensure that we've got about 25 youth going to parliament. But we also want to see youth being elected into parliament so that we are able to take charge of my portfolio committees, so that when ZEC, when there's a vacancy at ZEC, for instance, we have young parliamentarians also interviewing potential candidates, so that we can also have people who represent us at all levels in terms of governance. So that's another project that we've run with to ensure that we bring people together. The other project is testifying for itself, the Youth Parliamentary Caucus. I'm happy to note that this was an initiative of the Zimbabwe Youth Council. And you know what? I managed to sit with Honorable Mavetera, Honorable Mamombe, Honorable Trangira Isabe, Wango Aripo is all connected, and other MPs who are part of that caucus. And it was amazing to see how they were able to separate their political affiliations so that they can be able to work together to create a constitution for this caucus. To say, you know what, guys, they don't believe. But for a moment, I'm going to step away from that and focus on the 15 to 35-year-olds of this country. What are their issues? How do we best represent them? This, my fellow comrades, from all the parties in the room, is the conversation I want to have. And let's focus on the young people. And as the Ministry of Youth, this is something that we are really, really imploring you on. Youth, issues but so that we can be able to focus. And then the other program that we really run, which is a flagship, is the junior parliament. We have observed that sometimes we take too long without training young people so that they understand leadership, so that they understand how to engage rationally. And so what we are now doing is we are capacitating these young parliamentarians as much as we can, with the hope that once they leave junior parliament, leadership, the seed that we have sown in them will germinate into them also joining senior parliament. We have a few examples of people who are now in leadership positions who came through via the junior parliament. And so we feel that catching them young, ensuring that we work with people when they are still young, will also help so that they'll be able to grow up and take up these leadership roles. As the Zimbabwe Youth Council Ministry of Youth, Sport, Arts and Recreation, we are dedicated to seeing young people taking up spaces of leadership. Apart from the electoral processes, we have also managed to create what is called a youth forum, which means that all of our ministries, Ministry of Women Affairs, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Home Affairs, you name it, we want to see them creating my youth focal desks. So that you can go Ministry of Lands, and you want to talk about Nyadze Minda, you've got a young person who can talk to you. You've got a specialist who understands your needs, who can be able to articulate your issues so that you can be able to get tailor-made services that are meant for you as a young person. And so this is only but the beginning. The conversation has got to, I think it has got to mature. The moment that each and every one of you approaches us at our offices and comes up with ideas on how we can be able to work together. Because I believe that coming together, we can be able to achieve more than when we work in our silos. We can be able to continue with our petty squabbles and fights, but we'll achieve less than when we come together and say, this is for the young people. This is the Zimbabwe that we want to see for young people. This is where we want them to participate. So our doors as Zimbabwe Youth Council, as the Ministry of Youth, are open to us as young people. Let us come together and let us engage. And let us make sure that Kanadzanya and Zema Youth, we expend our energy in ensuring that that young person that you are representing is proud of the representation that you are making for them. And with these few words, I thank you.
Thank you so much, Brian Sutole. So now we're going to have 2 questions from the media, and then from then we're going back into the plenary, and then taking questions and thoughts, whatever, from the audience. And so from the media, we're going to start off here.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Tafadzo Anyikadzino. I'm a freelance journalist. My question is directed to representatives from various political organizations. It's good that the issue which has been rising here is on voter apathy, and all of you here profess that you're doing something to encourage youths to register to vote. So maybe can you review further on how far you've gone in that regard, if possible, and provide figures as well to say, as ZANU-PF, we are looking at 30,000, 40,000 youths we have registered, ENCA, CCC, whatnot, so that we can understand if this is really happening or maybe it's just hearsay. And then the second issue I would like to ask is on youth participation.